I mean, put into context how big this ramping up of American military presence in Europe is.
Well, Alex, thank you. First of all, what this does is start to get us back to what we used to have when we had very effective deterrent forces in Europe, along with British allies, German allies, and others. I mean, when I was a lieutenant a very long time ago, there were almost 300,000 Americans, mostly in West Germany. So this increase, as the president has announced, will still only get us back up to a little over a third of what we used to have during the Cold War. We don't need that same big number, but clearly Russia's attacks in Georgia and everything since then happened after we got to our lowest point and the weakest point.
Do you think that, in part, this has been driven by Putin's audacity to invade Ukraine has been driven by a sense that the West has become rather complacent, that in some respects it's allowed itself to be in decline, especially militarily?
No, you're exactly right. I mean, we all thought at the end of the Cold War that somehow Russia was going to be a partner. I can even remember having Russian troops with us in 1995 when NATO's implementation force went into Bosnia to implement the Dayton Peace Accord. So it seemed plausible. But we really were complacent, all of us, including the United States, except our allies on NATO's Eastern Front, the ones who knew best what really was going on inside Russia. So we were complacent. And I think that the Kremlin, the current occupants of the Kremlin, for sure, they only respect strength. They have zero respect for anything that we care about. I mean, these missiles that fly into apartment buildings and shopping malls, as you said, it's hard to believe that these are not intentional. The timing of their attacks just before the G7 and then just before the start of the NATO summit, this is who we're dealing with, and they will only respond if we are strong.
I'm glad you said that, and talking about only responding if we're strong, because it seems to me that what's happening is despite NATO, despite, say, the G7 having far greater combined military and economic strength than Russia, easily eclipsing what Russia has when put together, that we're the ones on the back foot, we're the ones responding to Putin. Do you think that the approach has been right?
Now, this is very frustrating. We have deterred ourselves. I think, now look, I'm an old retired guy. I have zero responsibility. So my president, your prime minister have huge responsibilities. So they have to be cautious about judgments about whether or not Russia would use nuclear weapons or whether or not things could escalate beyond Ukraine. But my sense is that we have exaggerated the willingness of Russia to use a nuclear weapon. They don't have the ability to do anything else beyond what they're doing right now. And so I think we have spent too much time talking about what we're not going to do, which then thereby opens up the aperture for the Kremlin to do what they want to do. We're making decisions now that should have been made 3 months ago, and we're playing catch up. I'm still optimistic, by the way. I think as all of the full weight of the capabilities that are being delivered into Ukraine now, the effect will begin to be felt, I think, in the coming weeks, and we're going to see a completely different situation in Ukraine, certainly by August.